Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment's 32 teams, 32 days, and today we are talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars as a part of my 2017-18 NFL season previews. Remember to head over to sportsfanentertainment.com for the article previewing the Jaguars. The link to that video will be down in the description box below. So we're talking Jaguars today. We're talking strengths, weaknesses for this football team, looking at their schedule, give you some bold predictions, give you a fantasy outlook, and finally getting out here with my final win-loss prediction for the Jacksonville Jaguars. That is subject to change after the preseason because after all, this is only August 8th, 2017 as of this recording. So we're talking Jacksonville Jaguars today. We're going to start with their strengths. We're going to start with their cornerbacks. We're going to start by talking about one of my favorite players in this league, one of my favorite players coming out of the draft in years, and that is Jalen Ramsey. Man, those of you that were following me during the 2016 NFL draft preview time, man, I was all in on Jalen Ramsey. I was convinced he was going to be one of the best defensive backs in the NFL, and after his rookie season, it looks like that's where he's headed. Because not only is he such a good cover corner, he does so much more than that. He's so physical in the run game. He's such a loudmouth talker. He gets in the opponent's head. He's physical. He's tough. He's mean. And now last year you even saw him make plays, get a couple of interceptions. The sky is the absolute limit for Jalen Ramsey. He's not just going to be a cover corner that you barely see during the game like a Chris Harris Jr. Jalen Ramsey is going to make plays for the rest of his career, and I can't wait to see if he ends up being a top 5 corner. I think he will. It wouldn't shock me if one day he's the best cornerback in the league. But next to him, you signed A.J. Bouye, formerly of the Houston Texans. He's coming in, and this guy was tremendous for the Houston Texans. Now we have to see if he'll be tremendous for you, because we've seen cornerbacks do great for one team, leave in free agency, and struggle for the next team. But honestly, looking at his play last year, looking at him on tape, I don't see that happening. He was tremendous last year. You gotta love this cornerback duo. And you still have Aaron Colvin here, who's been getting better, and now you don't have to ask him to be covering a lot of the best wide receivers in the league. Now you have Ramsey and Bouye, so Aaron Colvin could do well as a number 3 cornerback on this depth chart. And you have some guys that are interesting like Jalen Myrick out of Minnesota, Doran Grant out of Ohio State, that perhaps could end up being something for you. You have such a great duo between A.J. Bouye and Jalen Ramsey. But I also like the defensive line in Jacksonville. We start by talking about the newest addition, Calais Campbell, formerly of the Arizona Cardinals. This guy's an absolute beast, okay? Even in his older age, and he ain't that old, this guy continues to make an absolute impact. He's one of the best rushers in the NFL when it comes to being a 3-4 defensive end. Now he's going to be playing 4-3 defensive end for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we're going to see how that goes. But regardless, he's so good to the point where I don't think it's going to matter. To me, though, don't just leave him outside as a base 4-3 end. You know, play him a little inside, play him a little outside. To me, I'd even play more inside, but if they want to play him outside, I get it, I guess, because I guess you don't love Dante Fowler right now, so you really want to maximize your defensive line's potential, because you do have Avery Jones and Malik Jackson in the middle. But right now, I mean, you gotta love this defensive line, because again, outside of Calais Campbell, you do have Malik Jackson, who's an absolute beast. I mean, people felt he was a free agent bust last year. They weren't watching the tape. Malik Jackson was making an impact. He was just as good as he was in Denver. The difference was he didn't have Von Miller next to him, and he didn't have a Super Bowl team surrounding him. Avery Jones, also the defensive tackle position. This guy is also a very good run defender. This guy makes an impact, and I like the juxtaposition of Malik Jackson and Avery Jones. Jackson's more of that pass rusher, Jones more of that, run stuffer. You also have Michael Bennett and Sheldon Day behind these guys. So these are some 2 young draft picks that you've had in the past couple years. Sheldon Day did well to me in limited duty last year, so I like this guy. Now the other edge defenders, you also have Dante Fowler and Yannick Ngakoue. Now Yannick Ngakoue ended up with about 8 sacks last year, but he really wasn't that impressive to me, especially against the run. I really want to see him set the edge better this upcoming season. Calais Campbell will help with that. And look at Dante Fowler, man, this guy's a clown. Oh my goodness, I was reading a report the other day that he apparently got into a fight with a guy because a guy said that he couldn't drive, right? Dante Fowler's had 10 driving tickets since December 2015. So a guy tells him, hey, Dante Fowler, you can't drive well at all. You're a terrible driver. And then Dante Fowler walks up to this guy, punches him in the face, knocks his glasses off, stomps on his glasses, takes his groceries. I'm not making this up. Takes his groceries and throws his groceries into a lake. I've never heard of a story like this, and this is what Dante Fowler has done. This guy's a clown. But anyway, maybe he ends up doing something, but right now I am not high on Dante Fowler, especially when you look at his intangibles. Wow, what a weirdo, throwing somebody's groceries into a lake. Look at the linebackers for this team, and I like the linebackers. And let's start with Telvin Smith, who's been consistent for this team for a number of years now. We'll see if they extend him. I expect them to very soon. This guy's been very good for them. I expect more of the same. Same goes for Paul Posluszny. He's also returning. He's been very good in coverage, man. This guy's great in coverage. You have to love that. And Miles Jack, whom you took last year, he did well in rookie duty. Let's see what he can do in more playing time. Let's see if he can stay healthy as well. Only played about 240 snaps last year, so let's see what he can do as he takes on a larger role. He'll be in the middle of this defense. We move on to the weaknesses, though, for this football team, and we must start at the quarterback position. Blake Bortles stinks. Okay, that's just the damn truth. Okay, he had 5 interceptions in a training camp practice a couple days ago, and going up against the Patriots in these scrimmages, he has not looked good. Okay, we have a problem at the quarterback position in Jacksonville. That's just the truth, people, and you know it, Jaguars fans. I mean, come on. I know the Jaguars don't have the most extensive quarterback history, but come on, man. This guy even pales in comparison to David Garrard. I mean, he's just not that good, Blake Bortles, man. Too many interceptions every year, throwing more than 15 interceptions. Last year was 18 touchdowns to 17 interceptions. I mean, a ridiculously horrible ratio. I expect more of the same this upcoming year. And I know they added a run game, or at least we're presuming they added a run game. He's still not going to be good. The interceptions are just too high, and they're going to continue to be too high for Blake Bortles. I cannot buy into Blake Bortles. We move on to the next position of weakness. We have to look at the tight ends. I hate the tight ends right now. Marcedes Lewis, who's almost as old as the Jacksonville Jaguars themselves. I mean, that's what it feels like, at least. This guy's been around forever. I still can't believe he's still with this team. It's incredible. Only about 200 receiving yards last year. Look at the other tight ends on this roster. Mykel Rivera, who was a disappointment for the Oakland Raiders. Look, if Derek Carr can't turn Mykel Rivera into a high-volume tight end, how will Blake Bortles? Okay, because Derek Carr is willing to throw that rock, okay, and still Mykel Rivera could not do anything, right? I mean, he did a little bit of something in his second year, but other than that, he was a disappointment in his third and fourth. So this tight end position is bad. It might be the worst in the league next to the New York Jets and the Baltimore Ravens right now. And the offensive line, right now, it's a huge question mark because Brandon Albert retired out of nowhere. He said, see you later, I'm gone. And now he wants to come back, but they're saying, no, we don't want you anymore. So now Cam Robinson, your second-round pick, may start left tackle. You have Earl Watford that might start at left guard. Brandon Linder's the best offensive lineman by far. A.J. Cann is all right. And Jeremy Parnell is also actually pretty good for a right tackle. But when you look at this left tackle, left guard position, man, it just concerns me too much right now because they could just be horrible. I mean, Cam Robinson as a left tackle in the NFL could just be awful, and Earl Watford or Tyler Shatley being at left guard concerns me greatly. So right now the offensive line is a weakness, although it's not as big as a quarterback or tight end position in terms of being a weakness. We look at the positions that are neither strengths nor weaknesses. Let's start with the wide receivers. That could certainly be a strength, but I want to see Allen Hurns be healthy again. He was not healthy last season, and he dropped way too many passes for my liking. I think he had 6 drops to his 35 receptions, which is a horrible ratio. It's off one of the worst in the league in terms of receptions to drops. That's terrible. So he needs to improve that. He needs to stay healthy. Allen Robinson, this guy had a down year last year. The funny thing is, I mean, he still had the same amount of targets. You know, some people felt that, oh, Blake Bortles wasn't targeting him as much as he was the year before. No, he was. The targets were about the same. Robinson wasn't coming down with the same percentage of them as was Blake Bortles not being as accurate with those passes. I can buy that, but Robinson's better than that. Better than the 900 receiving yards he had last year. You know, break over 1,000 again. You're better than that, Allen Robinson. And then Marquise Lee. Okay, now this guy can play, right? He stayed healthy last year, and he showed us that he can play, so I'm excited to see Marquise Lee. This position could certainly be a strength of this football team, but I need to see a little bit more growth out of these guys and build more consistency for sure. And Rashad Green, I mean, we'll see what he could do, but I think Jameis Winston really maximized this guy at Florida State, and now he's done. I don't think he can play very much in the NFL at all. Look at the running back position. Look, I'm a big fan of Leonard Fournette. I'm concerned with this offensive line, how productive he'll be, so I can't say it's a strength quite yet. But by the end of the season, it could definitely be a strength. And you still have TJ Yeldon, who's a nice receiving back. And to me, Chris Ivory just needs to be cut. Not because he can't play in the NFL, just because what's his role? I mean, you have your receiving back in Yeldon, you have your power back in Fournette. You don't need Ivory. Cut him and see if you can get like a younger guy in here or something like that. You know, someone different. You don't need Chris Ivory, especially his contract. Now, get rid of this guy and see what you can do elsewhere. We look at the safeties. Could be good. Tashawn Gibson, he's returning. I mean, I think he's actually a decent free safety. He's not great. He's not bad. And then Barry Church, he was signed for the Dallas Cowboys. You know, he had a nice year last year, but in the past, he's been inconsistent. He hasn't been very good. So I want to see it again. The safeties, to me, are right in the middle. So with that said, let's move on to my fantasy projections for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Blake Bortles, 3,500 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, and 17 interceptions. You have to project a high interception season for Blake Bortles. And you may say, hey, the passing yards is a little low. I'm about to tell you why in a second. We move on to running back. Leonard Fournette, 270 carries, 1,200 yards, and 9 touchdowns. This is a nice year. Okay, so it's not going to be the Jordan Howard or Ezekiel Elliott year last year. Okay, but it's going to be nice. You know, those years were ridiculous. I mean, they were historically significant. Okay, this is more in line with a great rookie running back. Those last two last year were just ridiculous. They were trailblazers last year. This is more what you would expect. Because you're still going to have some carries taken away by Yeldon and Ivory, and the Jaguars' offensive line probably won't help Fournette get more than 4.5 yards per carry. He's just not going to get that, right? Whereas Ezekiel Elliott got 5 yards a carry. That's a huge difference right there. So I like Fournette this year, but he won't have an Ezekiel Elliott type year. No way does he get 5 yards per carry. Look at wide receiver Allen Robinson, 75 catches, 950 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So again, under 1,000 receiving yards for Allen Robinson, just because, again, Hearns is going to be better than it was last season. I mean, Hearns only got like 500 receiving yards. If he's healthy, he's going to get more. Marquise Lee could get more. He could end up leading the pack. So I think it's a bit of a dip for Allen Robinson, or at least he remains where he was last year. And then bold predictions for this team. Okay. Chad Henne's gonna play this year, okay, and I'm not sure how he's gonna play, okay. I'm not sure if it's gonna be a Blake Bortles bench. I'm not sure if it's gonna be a Blake Bortles injury. You're gonna see Chad Henne play this year, make a start or two this year. That's my bold prediction, and I don't need to tell you how he's gonna do it. All I have to do is predict that he's going to. It just feels as if there's no way Bortles is gonna go through an entire season again. He's been healthy every year he's played, first of all, and more than that, I think Tom Coughlin is going to be willing to pull the plug and try the Chad Henne thing at the end of the season if the Jaguars are no longer in playoff contention. So I feel good about this. I say Chad Henne makes a couple starts this year. Bold prediction number 2, Jalen Ramsey makes the Pro Bowl and enters the top 5 cornerback discussion. Again, I'm a big Jalen Ramsey fan. I'm expecting big things from Mr. Ramsey. And number 3, after the year, this is a bold prediction for the offseason, but after the year, if the Jaguars begin the quarterback search, okay, they could trade Blake Bortles, who has a 5th-year option worth $19 million. I don't know why y'all picked that up. All you had to do was keep him and then franchise him if you really need another year to test him out, okay? Because that's the beautiful thing about the franchise tag. You can do it after the season, okay? After you know, oh, do we really want this guy? Now you have it no matter what. If Bortles is awful, congratulations, now you're paying him $19 million next year. Instead, if you would have franchised him, you wouldn't have to keep him, right? That's the difference. That's the distinction, and the Jaguars didn't listen to me. Anyway, they're going to begin their quarterback search next year. They could draft one. They could trade Bortles, something. They're going to add a significant quarterback next offseason. That's my bold prediction. All right, season predictions. We look at the schedule first. Let's look at the schedule first. And again, you're in the AFC South. And you know what? Right now, I have you guys, I believe, getting swept by the Texans. I have you guys splitting with the Colts, and I have you guys splitting with the Titans. I feel this is the most comfortable thing to have, although it wouldn't shock me if you split with the Texans too, and it wouldn't shock me if the Colts or the Titans swept you. So I feel like you're going to be 2-4 in your division, but you could be 3-3. We move on to the AFC North. You guys go 2 Pittsburgh and 2 Cleveland. You know, you look at that at Cleveland, I know you're thinking W, but Cleveland ain't New York Jets, okay? Cleveland's gonna win some games in Cleveland, okay? And you're one of the easier games they go up against, okay? One of the easier teams they go up against. This concerns me, okay? You guys also host Baltimore and host Cincinnati. So, you know, I'm gonna say that in this division, you know what? I feel like you could go 2-2. You could go 2-2, but don't be surprised if you beat Cincinnati and Baltimore, but you lose to Cleveland. I'm telling you, Cleveland's going to be dangerous, and no way do you beat Pittsburgh. You guys also go up against the NFC West. You host the Seattle Seahawks. You host the LA Rams. You go to the Cardinals, and you go to the 49ers. To the Cardinals, to the 49ers. Again, woo! Can you beat the 49ers? You guys go visit a lot of bad teams. It's going to be very interesting because I know the Jags are going to choke a lot of these games away. It's going to be fascinating. I will say you beat the 49ers, but I'll be reluctant saying that. I will also say, in terms of going to Arizona, you're going to lose. But then you host the LA Rams. I'll say you win that one, okay? I think without a doubt you win that one. They have to go cross country. You got to win that one. But hosting Seattle, no. You know, Seattle could trip up a little bit. Like this is a good game where you guys would cover the spread, maybe come close, but then Russ Wilson leads a fourth quarter drive, and then that's it, right? But this game could be like a Jaguars cover but lose type game. You guys also go up against the teams that finished concurrently with you in the AFC. That'd be the LA Chargers, whom you host in Week 10. You know, to me, this is a 50-50 game, completely 50-50, because although the Chargers are better than you, they're traveling to Jacksonville, so pick whoever you want. I don't care. And then you guys also go up against the team from the AFC East, which is the New York Jets, whom again you travel to, but the Jets stink, okay? The Jets stink. You can go to the Jets and beat them because they're awful, especially after this Quincy Enunwa injury. They're done. All right, so we look at my season predictions for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Best case scenario is 9-7, okay? And this is gonna shock some of you, probably not Jaguar fans, but other fans. Look, although the Jags continue to disappoint every year, like last year I had them going 7-9 and they went 3-13. There is legitimate talent here, okay? And this is undeniable. Like, there is undeniable talent here. Jalen Ramsey, AJ Boye, Calais Campbell, Telvin Smith, Paul Posluszny, Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns, Marquise Lee, Leonard Fournette. There is talent in Jacksonville. They could have a Tennessee Titans 2016 type season. They go 9-7. They maybe even come close to making the playoffs, but they miss out. It wouldn't shock me at all, but it was going to require a nice year from Blake Bortles. But this defense could easily be top 5. Last year was number 6 in terms of least amount of yards allowed. This defense could be really, really good. Look out for it. Worst case scenario is 4-12. Okay, why? Because how did they win 3 games last year? I don't know, but they did. Okay, they should improve upon that. But I mean, with Blake Bortles at the helm, man, you have a low side right there. Okay, and my prediction is 6-10. And I really, really want to say 7-9 because 7-9 seems so perfect. But I had that last season and I was wrong. I was really wrong. There's something still holding down this franchise, and his name is Blake Bortles. But the good news is, you have 2 new guys in Tom Coughlin and Doug Marrone. Perhaps they help to resurge this franchise because this, to me, it's a 7 or 8 win team on paper, even 9 win team on paper. But Blake Bortles, okay, when you just have bad quarterback play, like the Jaguars are going to have bad quarterback play, you never really know. So I have to be safe, and I have to say 6-10. But again, this should be a 7, 8, 9 win team on paper. On paper, it should be. They could even get in the AFC South discussion. Honestly, I'm a Titans fan, and I'm telling you, this team could get in the AFC South discussion. So again, that is my prediction for the Jacksonville Jaguars this upcoming season. What are your thoughts? Comment down below. I want to know. Check out SFE on all of our social media links down in the description box below. And until next time, I'm out. See you all later.